The battle and the cut. The battlefield was silent before the storm. Broken machines lay scattered across the ground, their metal bodies twisted and burning. Smoke rose in the distance, and the air was heavy with the smell of ash and blood. The war between humans and the alien empire had already taken many lives. But tonight, one last fight would decide who survived. Among the ruins stood a single human soldier named Aaron. He was young but battle-hardened, carrying scars across his face and arms. His armor was cracked, his blade dull, yet his spirit remained unbroken. He breathed slowly, knowing that the enemy was close. He whispered to himself, "This is not the end, not yet." Across the field, an alien warrior stepped forward. She was tall, graceful, and terrifying, her armor shining under the red light of the burning sky. Her name was Serenia, princess of the alien clans, feared by soldiers across the galaxy. She carried a blade that glowed with strange energy, sharp enough to cut through steel. Her eyes were cold, filled with pride and hatred for humans. The two warriors faced each other in silence. Aaron tightened his grip on his sword, while Serenia raised her glowing blade. No words were spoken, for both knew what must be done. One would live, and one would fall. The war had come down to this single clash. Serenia moved first, faster than lightning. Her blade swung toward Aaron with deadly force. He blocked, but the impact sent shock through his body. He staggered back, nearly losing his footing. She pressed forward, every strike stronger than the last. Aaron fought back with everything he had. His blade clashed against hers, sparks flying into the night. But her strength was greater, and her speed unmatched. Step by step, he was being pushed back. Still, he refused to give in. Finally, Serenia found an opening. Her glowing blade slashed across Aaron's arm. Blood spilled onto the ground, dark and hot against the cold steel floor. Aaron groaned in pain, but did not fall. He raised his sword again, refusing to surrender. But something strange happened. The drop of his blood that touched her blade began to glow. The light spread across the weapon like fire, wrapping around her hand. Serenia gasped, pulling back as if burned. Her eyes widened in shock, for she knew this was no ordinary blood. A mark burned onto her skin, a symbol of ancient power. It glowed bright, and she felt chains forming deep inside her soul. Whispers echoed in her mind, voices from long-dead ancestors. Bound by blood, bound by fate, you are his until eternity. Serenia dropped to her knees, trembling with fury and fear. Aaron looked at her with confusion. He had no idea what had just happened. He only saw his enemy, the mighty alien princess, falling to the ground. Her weapon shook in her hands, her face pale, as if she had seen death. He whispered, "What's happening to you?" Serenia tried to speak, but her voice cracked. She felt a force pulling her toward him, a bond she could not break. Her pride screamed to resist, but her body betrayed her. The blood had tied her to this human. The curse of servitude had awakened after centuries of silence. With anger in her eyes, she spat out the words, "You do not know what you have done, human." Her voice shook, but her pride remained. "I am bound to you now, not by choice, but by blood." Aaron took a step back, unsure if it was a trick. The battlefield around them was silent. The fires burned, the machines groaned, but no other soldier moved. It was as if the universe itself had paused to witness this bond. Serenia, once the proud enemy of humankind, had become something else, no longer only a warrior, but a prisoner of blood. Aaron tightened his grip on his sword. He was wounded, tired, and confused. But deep inside, he knew this moment had changed everything. The war was no longer just about victory. It had become a story of chains stronger than steel. As Serenia lowered her glowing blade, the mark on her skin continued to burn. Her fate was sealed, her pride broken. And in her heart, for the first time, she felt fear. Fear not of death, but of eternal servitude to a human. The night sky burned above them. the stars hidden behind clouds of smoke and fire. The war raged on in the distance, but here, in this moment, destiny had spoken. A single cut had changed the path of two lives forever. Her blade had drawn his blood, but his blood had bound her soul. The binding curse. Serenia's hand trembled as she stared at the burning mark on her skin. It pulsed like fire under her flesh, glowing with the same light as the human's blood. She tried to throw away her blade, but it refused to leave her grip. The energy tied her weapon, her body, and her soul to the human standing before her. Her heart pounded in anger, but her mind whispered fear. Aaron stepped closer, still holding his sword. He was bleeding badly, but his eyes stayed on her. "What's happening to you?" he asked, his voice low but steady. Serenia looked up, her face pale, her pride broken. You are my master now," she whispered with hatred. The words shocked even her. Her kind had told stories of this curse, but she had never believed them. Ancient tales spoke of blood binding, a forbidden magic older than empires. It was said that when the blood of a chosen human touched the sacred steel, the alien who wielded it would become bound in servitude, body and soul. Serenia clenched her teeth. She was a princess, heir to her people, feared by armies across the stars. How could she kneel before a human, weak and wounded? Her chest burned with humiliation, but the mark on her skin glowed brighter. Every time she tried to rise against him, her strength crumbled. Aaron did not understand. He saw her trembling and thought she might be injured. But when he stepped closer, her body moved on its own. Her blade shifted to guard him, protecting him from unseen threats. She gasped in horror. No, this cannot be. The battlefield around them was silent. Dead machines and burning wreckage lit the ground in shadows. But within Serenia's mind, the voices of her ancestors grew louder. "You are chained by blood, bound to his will until your death," they whispered. She pressed her hands to her ears, but the voices would not stop. Aaron watched her with caution. He did not lower his weapon, but he did not attack either. Something inside him told him this fight was already over. Yet he felt no victory, only confusion and unease. For what kind of curse could turn an enemy into a servant? Serenia's anger exploded. "I will never serve you, human," she shouted, her voice echoing across the ruins. But as she lunged forward, intending to strike him down, her blade twisted in her grip and slashed at the empty air. Pain tore through her chest, dropping her to her knees again. Aaron stepped back, eyes wide. He had not touched her, yet she collapsed as if chained. Serenia's pride shattered as she realized the truth. No matter how much she resisted, her body would never harm him again. She was trapped, her fate sealed by a single drop of his blood. The soldier stood over her. He could kill her now, and the threat forever. But something inside him whispered not to. He tightened his grip on his sword, then slowly lowered it. "I don't want a servant," he said softly. "I just want to survive." Serenia glared at him. Her pride screamed to break free, to cut him down, to prove her strength. But the burning mark on her skin pulsed again. Her breath caught in her throat as invisible chains wrapped tighter around her soul. She was his, whether she accepted it or not. The night grew colder. Ash drifted from the burning sky, covering the battlefield like snow. Serenia finally rose to her feet, though her head bowed low. Her voice was sharp, bitter, and heavy with shame. "You will regret this bond, human," she swore. Aaron said nothing. He looked at her, this alien princess who moments ago wanted him dead, now chained to him by blood and destiny. He did not know if she was enemy, ally, or prisoner, but deep inside he understood one thing. This curse was only the beginning. The war outside no longer mattered as much as the war between them. Serenia's pride and Aaron's humanity would now walk the same path, bound by something older than life, older than war, older than choice. And neither of them could escape. The reluctant servant. The battlefield was quiet now, but silence did not mean peace. Aaron's arms still burned where the alien blade had cut him, blood drying against the cracked plates of his armor. He wrapped the wound with a torn cloth, his eyes never leaving Serenia. She stood only a few steps away, her glowing weapon still in her hand, but her body unmoving like a prisoner in invisible chains. The bond held her, and she hated it with every breath. Serenia's jaw tightened. Her people were conquerors. Her clan worshipped strength above all. Yet here she was, standing beside a wounded human soldier, unable to leave his side. Every instinct told her to strike him down, to prove she was still strong. But when she raised her blade, pain lashed through her chest, forcing her back into obedience. Aaron did not understand the details of the curse, but he saw enough to know she was not free. He studied her carefully, cautious of every movement. "You could have killed me," he said, his voice low. "Why didn't you finish it?" Serenia looked at him with eyes full of fire. "Do not think it was mercy, human." The words cut like steel. She would not admit weakness, even though the bond betrayed her every time. When Aaron turned to walk through the wreckage, she followed against her will. Her feet moved as if commanded by a master's voice, though he had given no order. Her pride screamed in silence, but her body obeyed. They walked through the ruins of the battlefield. Fires burned in the distance, and the cries of dying machines echoed like ghosts. Aaron searched for supplies, scavenging from fallen soldiers. Serenia shadowed him, blade ready, eyes scanning for threats. Even in her hatred, she protected him without choice. At one point, a shadow moved behind broken steel. A surviving alien soldier rose, weapon aimed at Aaron's back. Serenia reacted before she could think. Her blade cut through the attacker in a single strike. The body fell, smoke rising from the wound. Aaron froze, staring at her. She had saved him, though moments ago she promised she would never serve. Serenia's chest heaved with fury. She had not wanted to protect him, yet the bond forced her. Her voice trembled as she spat. "Do not mistake this for loyalty." Aaron's eyes narrowed. He was beginning to understand the cruel truth. Whatever magic bound her, it demanded her protection of him. She was his shield, even if she hated him for it. And for the first time, he felt both pity and fear. The night deepened, stars hidden behind smoke. They found shelter in the shell of a fallen transport. Aaron leaned against the cold metal, exhausted. Serenia stood at the entrance, guarding him like a sentinel. Every part of her hated the position, but she could not move away. She thought of her people. If they discovered this bond, they would call her dishonored, a slave to her enemy. Her father, the great warlord, would cast her out. The shame burned deeper than the mark on her skin, but the bond refused to break. Aaron's voice broke the silence. "I don't want a servant," he said. "I don't even know why this happened." Serenia turned sharply, her eyes glowing with rage. "You think your wanting matters? My life is no longer mine." The words echoed, heavy and sharp. Inside, she felt her pride tearing apart. Every breath was rebellion. Every step was humiliation. But each time she tried to resist, the pain pulled her back. The chains of blood were stronger than her will. And slowly, fear began to grow where only hatred once lived. Aaron watched her. He saw the fury in her eyes, but also the shadow of despair. He realized that though she stood as his protector, she was still dangerous. Not because she could kill him, but because she hated him enough to try forever. The bond might force her blade to defend him, but her heart wished him dead. As the night grew colder, Serenia whispered into the dark, "You have stolen my freedom, human, but you will not have my soul." Aaron did not reply. He closed his eyes, knowing rest would not come easily. The war was not over, and now his greatest enemy walked at his side. And in the distance, beyond the smoke and flames, her people were already searching. The bond had begun, but the true test of it had yet to come. For what is more dangerous than a servant who longs to be free? And what is more cursed than a master who never asked for chains? The journey together. The ruins of the battlefield were far behind them. Aaron walked slowly, his wounds still aching, his armor heavy with dust and blood. Beside him, Serenia moved like a shadow, silent, graceful, and unwilling. Her glowing blade lit the path through the wastelands, its light cutting through the smoke-filled night. Though bound to him, her eyes burned with hatred. The land stretched wide, filled with twisted steel and broken towers. It had once been a great city before the war turned it into ashes. Now only scavengers and monsters roamed these streets. Every echo of metal, every howl of wind sounded like a threat waiting to strike. Aaron gripped his sword tighter, while Serenia scanned the darkness. Neither spoke for hours. The silence between them was heavier than the rubble they walked over. Aaron did not trust her, though the bond forced her to protect him. Serenia did not trust herself, for each step reminded her that her freedom was gone. They were enemies walking side by side, tied together by a curse neither asked for. Suddenly, a growl broke the silence. From the shadows, creatures crawled forward, half machine, half beast, their red eyes glowing. Scavenger hounds, left behind after the war, hungry for flesh. Aaron raised his blade, his body tense though he was weak from blood loss. Before he could move, Serenia stepped forward with fury. Her glowing sword cut through the first hound in a flash of light. The second lunged, but she twisted mid-air, striking it down with one clean motion. The third beast leapt for Aaron, but her body moved faster than thought. Her blade sliced the creature before it could reach him. Aaron stumbled back, shocked by her speed. When the last hound fell, Serenia stood tall, chest rising with sharp breaths. Her armor was splattered with blood, her hands trembling from the force of the bond. She had defended him without wanting to. Her will crushed again. She turned to him, fury in her voice. "Do you see? Even monsters die to keep you alive." Aaron said nothing, his eyes fixed on her as if seeing both prison and protector. The night dragged on as they searched for shelter. Finally, they found an abandoned outpost at the edge of the wasteland. Inside were broken walls, shattered glass, and old supply crates. Aaron sat heavily against the cold stone, exhausted. Serenia stood near the doorway, staring out at the black horizon. He broke the silence at last. "Why do you keep fighting the bond?" he asked, his voice tired. Serenia turned slowly, her eyes sharp like blades. "Because I am not yours," she said, each word filled with venom. "My body may obey, but my spirit will never kneel." Aaron studied her. He saw her strength, her pride, and her pain. He wondered what kind of life she had lived, raised in war, worshipping power, knowing no mercy. He thought of himself, a soldier fighting only to survive. They were so different, yet now chained as one. As he tried to rest, a sound shook the outpost. The ground trembled under heavy steps. Through the broken window, shapes appeared, armored figures moving in formation. Serenia's eyes widened. She knew that pattern. "They are my father's hunters," she whispered. Aaron sat up sharply. "Hunters?" he asked, though his gut already knew the answer. Serenia nodded, her voice low, almost breaking. "They have come for me, and for you." Her hands clenched her blade, though her eyes showed something she never revealed before. Fear. The hunters moved closer, their weapons glowing, their armor shining with the mark of her people. Aaron tightened his grip on his sword, weak but ready. Serenia stood beside him, her body trembling between rage and duty. For the first time, the bond did not feel like chains, but like a wall between life and death. Together, they would face what neither could escape. And as the hunters surrounded the outpost, the alien princess and the human soldier stood side by side, bound not by trust, not by choice, but by the curse of blood. The journey had begun, and with every step forward, the bond grew stronger. But so did the danger. The enemies returned. The hunters came like shadows through the broken city. Their armor glowed faintly with alien symbols, their footsteps heavy and sharp against the ruined ground. Each carried weapons forged from the same glowing steel as Serenia's blade. Their faces were hidden behind dark masks, but their voices echoed with power. Princess Serenia, you are marked as traitor, surrender or die. Serenia froze, her chest tight with rage and fear. She had grown with these men, trained with them, fought beside them. Now, they came not as comrades, but as executioners. Her bond with the human made her an enemy to her own people. The shame was worse than any wound. Aaron stepped beside her, his sword drawn though his body was weak. He knew he could not defeat warriors like these, but he also knew running was useless. Serenia's jaw clenched, her pride demanded she stand tall. Yet the burning mark on her skin reminded her she was no longer free. The hunters raised their blades, moving in a circle to surround them. Their leader stepped forward, tall and cruel. Your blood is tainted, princess, he said. You kneel to a human, and for that, you will die. Serenia's heart twisted. Her pride wanted to deny it. But the bond forced her to step closer to Aaron, as if shielding him. The hunters attacked. Steel clashed against steel. Sparks lit the night. Aaron swung with desperate strength, his blade heavy and slow. One hunter nearly struck him down, but Serenia's body moved in a blur. Her glowing weapon blocked the strike, sending the enemy back. She fought with fury, every strike like thunder. But her heart screamed with conflict. Each time her blade saved Aaron, her pride shattered further. The hunters saw it too, mocking her as they fought. See how the princess protects her master. They jeered. She is no warrior now. Serenia's scream of rage filled the air. Her blade cut through one hunter, his body falling lifeless. But even victory tasted bitter. She was not fighting for her people. She was fighting for him, the human she once swore to kill. Aaron fought at her side, barely holding ground. He was slower, weaker, but his determination never broke. Serenia glanced at him between strikes. She hated that he did not fear death, hated that he stood his ground, because part of her respected it. The battle raged until the outpost walls shook. The hunters pressed harder, their formation tightening. Serenia bled from shallow cuts, her body slowing. Aaron staggered, his wound tearing open again. For a moment, it seemed the end had come. Then the bond surged. Serenia felt it burning hotter than fire. Her blade glowed brighter, her strength doubling. She struck down two hunters in a storm of light. Her voice thundered with fury. He is mine to protect. The hunters faltered, shocked by the power. But their leader snarled and raised his weapon high. You have chosen shame, Serenia, then you will die as a slave. He charged, his strike heavy enough to break stone. Aaron raised his sword weakly, but Serenia stepped before him. The blades clashed, the sound shaking the earth. Serenia forced the leader back, though her arms trembled. Her pride bled with every strike, but the bond gave her strength she had never known. At last, with one desperate blow, she sent his weapon shattering against the wall. The leader fell, defeated but not dead. The surviving hunters pulled him back, their voices filled with hatred. This is not the end, princess, they swore. We will return, and both of you will burn. With that, they vanished into the smoke, leaving silence once more. Aaron lowered his sword, his body shaking from exhaustion. Serenia stood still, her blade dripping with blood and light. Her chest heaved with every breath. She wanted to scream, to break free, to erase what had just happened. But deep inside, she knew the truth. The bond had saved them both, and it was stronger than her pride. Her voice was low, almost a whisper. I should hate you, yet I cannot let you die. Aaron looked at her, his eyes tired but steady. You don't have to serve me, he said, but we both know you already saved me more than once. Serenia turned away, her face shadowed. Her pride was broken, her honor gone, but her fate was sealed. The hunters would come again. The war was not finished, and now she walked a path darker than before. A princess without freedom, and a soldier with an unwanted guardian, bound together by blood. Walking into a storm neither could escape. Secrets of the Blood. The ruins stretched for miles, but in the heart of the wasteland stood something different. An ancient temple, half buried under stone and fire, its walls glowing faintly with forgotten symbols. Serenia stopped the moment she saw it, her breath sharp, her eyes wide with recognition. Aaron followed her gaze, frowning. "What is this place?" he asked. Her voice was heavy, almost afraid, the Hall of Blood Oaths. They stepped inside, the air thick with dust and silence. Old statues lined the walls, their faces carved with strange features, half human, half alien. Candles long dead had left marks of smoke against the stone. At the center lay a great tablet, cracked but glowing with faint red light. Aaron touched it, and the stone pulsed like a living heart. Whispers filled the chamber. Ancient voices, neither human nor alien, echoing through the walls. Serenia gritted her teeth, covering her ears, but the whispers were inside her mind. Aaron felt them too, like shadows brushing against his thoughts. The words became clear: blood binds blood, the servant to the master to the servant. Serenia stepped back, her face pale. "This is the curse of the ancients," she whispered. Her people had told stories of it, warnings to never let human blood touch sacred steel. But no one believed those stories were true. Until now, Aaron stared at the glowing tablet, his voice low. Why would they create such a curse? Serenia walked closer, her fingers tracing the symbols on the wall. They feared each other once, human and alien, so they forged chains instead of peace. Her eyes burned, "Chains that now bind me to you." The stone glowed brighter, revealing more carvings. Images of warriors kneeling before humans, their bodies marked with burning sigils. Images of humans falling to their knees too, bound to alien masters in return. Aaron's chest tightened as he realized. It works both ways. Serenia's eyes snapped toward him. "What do you mean?" He pointed to the carvings. "The servant is tied to the master, but the master is also tied to the servant." The words echoed in his mind, heavy with truth. If she could not escape him, then he could not escape her either. Their lives were locked together until death. Serenia's pride trembled. She had thought herself cursed alone, chained by humiliation. But now she saw the bond for what it truly was. Not only her prison, but his. She whispered, "If you die, I die too." Aaron's breath caught. The knowledge hit him like a blade. The curse was not victory. It was not power. It was a trap for them both. And the chain was stronger than war itself. The whispers grew louder, the chamber shaking with unseen power. The tablet glowed with fire, showing a final warning. To break the bond is to break the soul. Both shall fall, both shall burn. Serenia staggered back, her hand on her chest. Aaron clenched his fists, his face grim. She looked at him with eyes that burned with hatred and something else, fear. "You are my prison, human, and I am yours," she said, her voice trembling. "No matter what we wish, our lives are one now." Aaron wanted to speak, to argue, but he could not, because deep inside, he knew it was true. They left the temple in silence. The night sky stretched above them, filled with smoke and broken stars. The war outside no longer mattered as much as the war inside. Both knew they were chained to each other's fate, and there was no escape. Serenia walked ahead, her back straight, but her heart heavy. Aaron followed, his mind racing with fear of what lay ahead. Every step they took echoed with the truth of what they had learned. Enemies once, now prisoners of blood, bound together by a secret older than their worlds. Eternal Servitude. The night was restless, the sky red with fire as war still raged in the distance. Aaron and Serenia moved through the ruins with heavy steps, the truth of the curse burning in their minds. They both knew the hunters would not stop, and her people would not forgive. Sooner or later, the storm would find them again. And when it came, they would have to choose. It did not take long. The hunters returned, this time greater in number, their leader armored in gold, his voice like thunder. "Princess Serenia, your shame has stained the bloodline. Tonight you die, and your human dies with you." His army surrounded them, weapons raised, blades glowing like fire. The earth itself trembled beneath their march. Aaron tightened his grip on his sword, though his body was weak. He knew this battle was beyond him, yet he refused to step back. Serenia stood beside him, her heart torn, her pride screaming, her bond burning. She hated the chain that tied her, but she hated the thought of his death even more. For if he died, she would die too. The hunters charged. Steel clashed. Sparks lit the ruins, the sound of war filling the air. Aaron fought with desperate courage, striking, blocking, stumbling, yet never yielding. But it was Serenia who carried the storm, her blade cutting through the enemy with power drawn from the bond. Every strike glowed brighter, every movement faster, as if the curse itself wanted to protect them. The golden leader pushed forward, his blade aimed at Aaron's chest. In that moment, Serenia did not hesitate. She stepped in front of him, her body shielded in light, her voice thundering. "No one touches him, while my blood still burns." Her blade met the leaders in a clash that shook the ruins. The battle was long and brutal. Hunters fell one by one, yet more came. Aaron fought at her side, refusing to leave her, though his body screamed with pain. Serenia felt the bond growing stronger with every strike. It no longer felt like chains. It felt like fire, alive and unbreakable. At last, the golden leader fell to his knees. His armor shattered, his weapon broken, his voice bitter with defeat. "You have chosen your chains, princess," he spat. But Serenia raised her blade high, her voice firm. "These chains are mine now." And, with one final strike, she ended him. The surviving hunters fled into the shadows, their voices filled with rage and shame. But they knew the bond had made her stronger than they could ever defeat. When silence finally returned, Serenia lowered her blade, her chest heaving with exhaustion. Aaron stood beside her, his eyes fixed on her face. For the first time, she was not just his enemy, not just his jailer. She was his ally. The mark on her skin burned brighter than ever. The whispers of the ancients filled her ears, but now they did not sound like curses. They sounded like truth. She turned to Aaron, her voice low but steady. "Your blood binds me. Human, I am yours until eternity." Aaron shook his head slowly. "I don't want a servant," he said. "I want a companion." Serenia's lips trembled with pride and pain. But deep inside, she felt something shift. For the first time, she did not see the bond as only shame. The war around them still raged. The hunters would return, the empire would hunt them, and the path ahead was filled with danger. But they would face it together, chained by blood, chained by fate. No longer only enemies, no longer only prisoner and master, but something far stranger, far stronger. As dawn broke across the ruins, the fire in the sky faded, leaving only smoke and silence. Serenia stood tall, her blade at her side, Aaron standing close. The bond was eternal, the servitude unbreakable. Yet within those chains, they had found a new beginning,